Overhyped. What does overhyped mean?
Uh, like you overestimate someone, like they have like a lot more like praise than they probably should.
Yeah, bro, that's so good. That's so good. Jack, can you figure out why we're talking about that tonight? What are we talking about overhyped for?
Um, to like, you don't want to overhype somebody
Yeah, we
because,
overhyped
like,
the competition, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because
How
you
do
don't want to
we?
think so good of your opponent that like you can't compete with them, and so
Yes, yes, yes. How often do we gas guys up or hype dudes up because they throw the baseball hard, right? Or because they're bigger and stronger and more physical than us, or maybe a guy's swinging a wood bat instead of a metal bat, and we're like, oh, that dude must be good. He's swinging a wood bat. Everybody else is swinging metal. He must really rake, right? We gas dudes up and we hype dudes up because of what we see, but not only because of what we see, but sometimes because of what our teammates or other people say. Anybody ever had that dude where your teammate strikes out and he comes in the dugout and he's like, oh man, that guy's really good. That guy's like, he's throwing the ball so hard. Does anybody show of hands? Anybody ever experienced that? Teammates, right? Or for you, Jonathan, when you're pitching and you got a pitching coach that comes to you before the game and he's like, hey, dude, they're 3 and 4 hole hitters. They're some dogs. Them guys bang, right? You ever had that happen before? Maybe your catcher's like, I don't know, maybe we got to pitch around this guy. But we're gassing people up and we're hyping people up before we even have the opportunity to go out and compete against them, just by what we see and what we hear. But what happens when we do that is we take away our own confidence. We diminish ourselves and our skill set, and we put somebody else on a pedestal just because of something we see or hear, when we don't even know for sure if that's really who they are. They might be a big dude, but they don't hit very well, right? They might throw hard, but their ball's flat. They don't throw very many strikes. So you can just sit back and wait for that heater middle. No matter how hard you throw, I'm gonna clip you if you throw something middle. But what we do is we spin ourselves into a mode of negativity, and we take away from our ability to rise up confidently and step in that box or toe that rubber. Like, I'm gonna get this guy. I got him. He's mine. We take ourselves out of that just by what we see and hear. So I want to talk to you guys about something that happened in the Bible. Anybody ever heard the story of David versus Goliath?
yep,
David versus Goliath. Y'all know who David was?
my brother.
David was a little shepherd boy, just a young shepherd boy, man. They say in the Bible that David was about, they expect him, or they think he was about 5'5", so a small guy, right? Small guy. In comparison, Goliath, does anybody know who Goliath was? He was a giant, right, Jack? He was a giant. And they actually have a measurement for him in the Bible, and that's translated to about 9'9". 9'9". So you got young shepherd boy, 5'5", and you got a just absolute animal across the way at 9'9". They call him a giant. Does anybody know who ends up winning that fight?
David,
Anybody read the story? Who wins that fight?
David.
David. David. How does David win it? Let me tell you something. David goes into this thing with supreme confidence and faith and determination. And I'll tell you why. Why does David go into it like this? It's because David had three things. David had faith in God. David knew that he was prepared because of his past experiences. In fact, he says, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. He's talking to Saul, King Saul at the time. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. The Philistine, talking about Goliath, will be like one of them because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of the Philistine. So David knew that his past experiences and that work that he had put in prior to this event gave him ground to stand on, gave him the knowledge and the expertise that he needed to be confident going into this fight with Goliath. And the final thing, David had purpose. He knew that God had a plan for his life, and he believed in what he was doing. It says David's words demonstrate his unwavering trust in God, his courage, and his readiness to act despite overwhelming odds. It was a combination of faith, past experiences, and a strong sense of purpose that empowered him to face Goliath. So how does this apply to you guys? Can you take that simple story from the Bible, right? Fast forward thousands of years and put yourself in a batter's box as a freshman, sophomore, junior in high school, facing a potential first rounder who throws 95 miles an hour. Can you go into that batter's box with the same faith, the same preparedness, knowing that I put in the work? I deserve to be here standing in this batter's box facing this giant because I came and did my work in the cage. I did my work in the weight room. I've hit high velo off the machine before. This ain't nothing. I'm ready for this. I've prepared for this moment. And then 3, you have a purpose. You know you're going somewhere. You know that you're meant to be here right now, doing exactly what it is you're doing, because there's so many greater things to come from the foundation you've built, right? So you have faith, you're confident because you've prepared, and you have a purpose and a belief in that purpose, right? Pretty good, huh? Has anybody ever felt this before? These things we're talking about? Anybody ever felt these? This feeling of overhyping a guy or gassing a dude up, and then it makes you feel smaller than or lesser than to the point where you almost paralyze yourself from overanalysis. Somebody give me something. I'll open the floor up. Somebody give me a time when that's happened to you. What you got, Jack?
When I was facing Striker Pence, he's like one of the top ranked kids in like the nation,
Yeah.
and he threw like 92, and I was overhyping him. And when I was actually facing him, I could realize that like I could hit him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. So a guy like Striker Pence, Hunter Pence's son, right? So he's got the clout, he's got the name, he's bigger and probably more physical than everybody else your age, right? He's got all the tools and he's got everything. He's got everything he needs to beat you. And what happens when we start swimming in that narrative of I'm not good enough, or he's better than me because of XYZ, before we even go into competition against him, it starts developing anxiety. We start to handicap ourselves or self-sabotage ourselves by having some negative roles playing in our mind or negative reels playing in our mind, right? And you start remembering times when you weren't good enough, when you weren't strong enough, when you weren't capable, and you revert back to those because it's comfortable. And what you end up doing is you put so much energy into something negative because you've overhyped the guy that you start to shut down mentally. You start losing that edge. It makes it harder to get into that flow state that we're going to talk about here in weeks to come. It makes it more of an uphill battle, all because the power of your mind has said, that guy's probably better than me because he's bigger, faster, stronger, has more resources, has a big league father, right? All these things. Anybody else? Give me one more. Somebody?
when we faced Jason Flores last year, we overhyped him before the game, but we ended up like just slapping the ball around for singles and we ended up winning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. That leads me to this final point, Trent. We're going to close on this. What can we do to combat that overhype, right? Because it's human nature. You step on the field, you look across the way, and that guy's throwing 98. He's 6'4", and you're just not that guy physically. It's hard not to say, that guy's pretty good. Or when your teammate gets gassed up and gassed up in the other way, like fastball blown by him, and he strikes out on 3 straight pitches, and he comes back in the dugout, and a guy that hasn't put in the work like you, hasn't had conversations like this, hasn't even thought about it. He comes in the dugout and he means well, but he says, guys, this guy's really good. Good luck. You ain't got a chance. How do we combat that? We combat that by being optimistic on the other end. By acknowledging the presence, we acknowledge, hey, that's real. That's real. David didn't diminish who Goliath was. He just knew that he was capable because of the work and the confidence and all these things he had deep within him that gave him purpose and the passion to go forth and to fight the fight even when the odds were against him. And so for us in the dugout, something real practical is just to simply go the other way and be like, no, this guy's good, but we're better. This guy's okay. Like he's good. We'll acknowledge that. But fellas, y'all remember all those days that we got up early and put in that work? Y'all remember all that time that we came together and took extra BP or those late nights when we were out there, working on our stuff, trying to figure out how to throw a better curveball or get that extra 2 miles an hour on our velo, right? Remember all those days, all that time we put in, those nights of those mental Mondays, right? Those Foundation for Our Future podcasts that prepared us for stuff like this. Then, oh, by the way, dude, I'm pretty strong too. I'm pretty capable too. I'm going to play Division I baseball too. I'm going to get drafted too, right? So we just immediately turn around and say, yeah, that's cool, but I'm better. I'm better. And I know I can go out there and dominate. Guys, I love you so much. Y'all have a good night. Keep coming. Keep bringing your people on. I hope you enjoyed this one. I wanted to make it short, sweet. I wanted to get after it because I'm fired up for you guys who the world sees as a bunch of Davids to rise up, put in the work, have faith, and go get that thing that you're setting out to get, right? Go get it. Jack, go get it. Trent, go get it. Jonathan, go get that thing, dude. Johnny Beaver, go get it, bro. Jude, you're in here working out every day, bro. You deserve it. Go get it. Dave, go close that deal, man. Go get that thing. You guys deserve it. You've earned it, and you're going to continue to earn it every single day. I love you guys. Holler at me if you need anything. I'm here for you. Keep bringing people on board. Keep tuning in. Thank you for having your cameras on. And you guys that are involved, I love it so much. You have a good night.